Failed gubernatorial candidate Kari Lake warned that if she was not installed as the governor of Arizona, bad things will happen. Hey, look.
We just need a judge to wake up and realize what's on the line here. And if we do not restore honest elections now, our country will turn into a Venezuela. We have Venezuela-style elections, and this is how you destroy a country.
I see. Yeah.
In Venezuela.
Of course. This is how we destroy a country. Well, first, the United States, certainly not destroyed. Venezuela, also not destroyed. This is despite Donald Trump's attempt at a coup. But, okay, sure. But, okay, Kari Lake, let me get this straight. You lose your election, and then you lose your court challenge to that election. And now you're saying that if you are not undemocratically installed to a position that you did not win, then this country will become...
In Venezuela.
Really? Really? You want to talk about irony? Look, we know Kari Lake is a complete lunatic. I think it's fairly obvious by now, okay? But it is funny how all these so-called defenders of democracy don't actually believe in it. And look, to them, it's only a legitimate election if they win. Now, that said, you can definitely find evidence of voter fraud. It does happen. Seems to be happening a lot on the Republican side. But there's issues of, ballot stuffing. And it does happen. Election fraud does happen. But of course, it's an infinitesimally small amount of elections. Out of the millions of votes cast, you have a 0.0001% chance of finding someone who did in-person voter fraud because it's just not that prevalent. Hell, people barely show up to vote, much less take the time to do a felony. But all right, that said, it's projection, okay? For the people who like Kari Lake, they would love it if they lived in a system where they didn't need the voters to win. If somebody just handed them power. Or, I guess, alternatively, if they could just take every vote against them and just throw it out immediately. Gone. Well, that's authoritarianism. And yes, a scary, large chunk of Republicans think authoritarianism, let's try that. Sounds good, but only if it's right-wing. Only if it's right-wing authoritarianism, though, obviously. And let me give you the proof of that. Last year, there was a survey of 1,000 American voters conducted online and by phone between Christmas and New Year's by political scientist David B. Hill of Hill Research Consultants. And this is one of many polls, by the way, that have shown that there are a majority of Republicans that are like, violence against the government, good. And authoritarianism, good, as long as it's our kind. But anyway, respondents were asked a battery of 21 agree or disagree questions, indicators of possible support for or opposition to authoritarianism. Nearly half of all respondents, 49%, agreed with the assertion that once our leaders give us the go-ahead, it will be the duty of every patriotic citizen to help stomp out the decay that is poisoning our country from within.
Nancy Pelosi's gazpacho police.
They want to send the gazpacho police. But it would be Marjorie Greene's gazpacho police instead. That's what they want to do. More than half, 56%, agreed with the sentiment that the only way our country can get through the crisis ahead is to get back to our traditional values, put a tough leader in power, and silence the troublemakers spreading radical ideas. Look, the hint should be in the language here. Talking about traditional values, putting a tough leader in power. silencing the troublemakers. Yeah. Yeah. No, I think the people who agree with this are probably conservative. And now there's more. Half, about 50%, agreed that it's more important for a leader to stir the deep passions of the common man than to offer intellectual advice about policies. I think that is a little bit more general because, unfortunately, policy is not something that we do a lot in this country. We don't really have conversations about policy. It is more about passions. Unfortunately, or I should say, fortunately, you know, there are a lot of progressives here, people like Bernie Sanders, who do talk a lot about policy. All right, there's more. More than half, 53%, agreed that the country will be great if we, quote, honor the ways of our forefathers, do what the authorities tell us to do, and get rid of the rotten apples who are ruining everything. Wow. And when presented with the claim that we might have to make America a little less democratic in order to protect and preserve the most important American values, traditions, and principles, more than a third of respondents agreed, including 12% who said that they strongly agreed. And when it came to Trump, a third of respondents, 33%, said that they believed the 2020 election was stolen from him. Out of that third, a majority considered the participants in the January 6th attack on the Capitol to be patriots rather than insurrectionists, and a small minority of the Trump supporting respondents, about 13%, or nearly 5% of the overall sample, believed the ex-president should be reinstated by all means possible, including armed revolt, literally authoritarian. A small number, just under 2% of the overall sample, who say themselves would be willing to take up arms to see Trump reinstated. I'm actually glad to see it only at 2%, but you also have the 5% of the overall saying, yeah, I'd be fine with armed revolt as long as I don't have to do it. Get that other guy to do it. Because, of course, I just thought that's a real funny stat there. Like, wait, you wouldn't do it yourself, but you'd be okay with someone else doing it? Typical. Just typical. Now, getting back to Kari Lake, understand that that's what people like her want. They don't really care about democracy. I know they can, oh no, I care so much about democracy. I care so much about election integrity. No, you don't. You just want power. You want someone to put you in power. And that is authoritarianism in a nutshell. And so, look, these people, yes, while Kari Lake is insane and she's not getting anywhere near power, understand that there are still people in this country, a decent amount of them, who think, if not Kari Lake, then maybe we could do it for Trump, or maybe we could do it for any politician, because we don't care about democracy. What we care about is just getting our way in whatever way we can.